1 year ago, I was baptized and became a new member into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Since that time, I've had a number of questions about what's new, what's happened, what's different as a convert on this new covenant path. If you're new to the channel, my name is David. This is church visit number 41 of 52 churches in 52 weeks, round 3. So for this video, it's going to be a little bit different, much more personal than maybe some other videos that I do that kind of dive more into some church history. To set the scene first off, right now I'm at the Chicago, Illinois Temple, and today I'm going to be doing some proxy baptisms for direct ancestors. So that includes my grandfather that I never met, and also one individual, don't know how much I can show here, that shares my first and last name. So some of the interesting visits that I've made over the past year, one was at the FamilySearch headquarters in Salt Lake City, and I was given this whole presentation on some of my ancestors, and I've mentioned this in other videos where I really didn't know anything about my own family history or ancestry. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago, after I attended General Conference, then as a Protestant, where I got talking with my dad. And he mentioned to me that my great-grandfather had converted and became Mormon. And after researching the church for the past year, going to other Book of Mormon believing churches, it was just like, are you kidding me? Well, learning about that really kind of, spiked my curiosity in the temple open houses. And eventually, after converting, I made this visit to the FamilySearch headquarters, where one of the researchers found that my great-grandfather had a son, and he never was recorded on the census because he was born in 1920 and died in 1929. And so he died when he was 8 years old, and no records, that I had before on that. So to share his first name and last name, and now to kind of do a proxy baptism, be a part of that, it's an interesting feeling, that's for sure. So over the past year, I've done a number of other videos with the Sacred Grove, Hill Cumorah in Palmyra, the Kirtland Temple, the Temple Lot, Provo City Center Temple, and I would say like the past year, it's kind of like some of these trees over here. It's like I wish that my growth at this point, I don't know if you can see this right here, but they're kind of new. And that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, where it's almost like you're a new student going to new high school almost. So it's like I'm learning all this different stuff, but I'm used to my old ways, my old high school, and I'm still kind of adapting with a lot of different things for the past year. So, yeah. Other than that, I gotta get inside here pretty soon. But when I get back, I'm probably just gonna take another walk tomorrow and kind of share some insights over how things have been the last year. Talk about some of the talks that I've given at my stake conference, my own ward, and even me kind of breaking out of my introvert shell and getting up a few times to talk during fast and testimony meetings. So a lot more. I'm gonna go put my equipment away, do these proxy baptisms, and then I'll be back to share much more in a little bit. Figured I'd have you join me along with a prayer walk this morning. The weather's been getting a lot nicer as of late, and I can finally get out here, maybe take you for a prayer walk. This was the same path that I took last year, the morning of my baptism, as I was trying to get rid of some jitters, so it only felt appropriate to do this part of the video out here and just kind of reflect on the past year. So this video, I'm just gonna kind of wing it and kind of see what happens, because that morning was just so significant, especially with the whole cardinal aspect that I had on my journey to see 5 that morning. And I haven't really been on this path for a while, especially obviously during the winter, but to come out here right now, you just hear nature waking up right now. So it's nice to come out here. This is kind of this is very sacred grovey to me right now. When I was doing that video last year, I was just trying to take a bunch of shots out here just to kind of set the scene. And what I noticed when I was doing the video is I took this shot walking over this bridge. And I always kind of figured with my channel, it's interfaith, it still is, and building bridges. So as I was compiling the video, it's like, I feel like I was kind of crossing the bridge and stepping into this new world, this new path, and going on this path right over here where it's like, I don't know what's on the other side, you know. And at the same point, it's like, that's the only that's the only path that I've known. What's over here? And the last year, you know, I had a lot of concern, a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions. And, you know, it's like I didn't have all the answers even then to do so. There's an element of taking a leap of faith. And, you know, a year later now, like, I'm very happy, you know, what all happened, and the outpouring of support from church members. That was just such a huge thing. I wasn't really quite sure just how to continue keeping an interfaith kind of channel when I made such a big, bold move, because I had always been so neutral. And shortly thereafter, we did the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital fundraiser. $52,000 is just such a lofty goal. And I think one of the things that I'm just elated about is, you know, no matter the faith background, whether it's Protestant, Catholic, Latter-day Saint, with a community, we're closing in on about $28,000. And I mentioned in my last video, we've had an offer from just absolute amazing person, wants to remain anonymous, a Good Samaritan, who's offering a 2-for-1 match. So, you know, if you want to contribute $1, he'll contribute $2. If you contribute maybe like $50, he'll do $100, 2-for-1 match. So I think if we hit another $7,000, you know, we'll cover the rest on that. So having gone to St. Jude during this round and just kind of seeing the impact on what they do and how they help families, again, being Good Samaritans, I think that's been one of the most significant aspects for me for the last year. I think a couple questions I've had, especially for the past year, I had a lot of people saying, you got to keep attending your ward as often as possible. And so the last year, it didn't turn into 52 churches in 52 weeks. Right now we're at 41 churches in 52 weeks, and that's been fine, because the amount of travel I would be done by the end of the other rounds, I was just so burned out and just ready for a staycation. And this time around, I've been at my local ward 3 times out every 4 Sundays. That's worked out really well. I've been very strategic, and as a result, I'm not burned out, and that's been great. I've had a few questions about if I have had a calling yet. Nothing on that front yet. I had told my church leaders I was looking to move, and my ability to move just kind of kept getting pushed back. So that hasn't happened just yet. Some other just culture shocks. Removing alcohol from my diet, removing coffee. Health-wise, I'm probably in the best health I've ever been in my entire life. And I was a big craft beer drinker. I'd have one every single night. And it wasn't about being drunk or anything. I was tasting for flavors and notes. But I would wake up and I never was drunk. I was just kind of relaxed. It took me longer to wake up in the morning. Now it's like I wake up super early, get to the gym every day, feel great. So that's been just from a physical aspect, a little bit better. Other things, I'm trying to think of anything else I've had some questions on. Temple prep, I've been doing that. I have my last temple prep lesson coming up. So I'm going to start making some plans soon for my endowment. I don't think it's going to be, within the next month, but maybe 2 or 3 months is kind of what I'm thinking. If you've been watching the channel, you probably have an idea, which temple I'll get endowed at. I'll keep that a secret for now. Other things, I'm sure there's a lot of questions about kind of the doctrine and everything like that. I guess the best way, if I could summarize everything over the last year to describe my conversion process, has been slow, steady growth. Nothing flashy. I think there's this desire sometimes, like you just want to sprout out and bloom your flowers as much as you want. And for me, the slow, steady growth has been kind of on my mind. And like I've talked on the channel in the past so much how early on in the Book of Mormon and Lehi's dream, the tree of life is kind of anchored me personally into kind of like just taking the next step to know there's connection, and it's like you need to have the tree of life in order to make it all make sense, and why we're here and everything. One thing to kind of borrow along that slow, steady growth is I've felt that the past year I've really had to deepen my spiritual roots. One thing coming from the Protestant world is the thing I often would feel is like it's just Bible, 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 and to build your relationship with Christ. And one thing that I've been impressed since joining the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is I feel like there's so much more relationship building with Jesus Christ. Your roots are reaching to more aspects and more resources. So not are your roots reaching for the Bible, but it's reaching for the Book of Mormon. It's reaching for prophets. It's reaching for apostles. It's reaching for ward members. It's reaching towards temples. It's reaching towards, the app and the library and everything along with that. And with this YouTube channel, sometimes it kind of feels a little bit like the Truman Show, that one Jim Carrey movie. Because I have so many people that are sending me resources and just different type of material to help my relationship with Christ, and strengthen my relationship with the church. Sometimes my roots don't know what to all grab for because I only have so much growth I can do all at one time. So I think over the past year, I've kind of been assessing where I don't know if I have ADHD or something, but it's like I just have to focus on one aspect. Either that's the Book of Mormon or the Doctrine and Covenants or, the temple prep. Because again, my roots are just grabbing for so much nourishment and so much different water and so much sunlight to try and grow as much as I possibly can. So over here a year ago, this is kind of where I saw that cardinal for the first time. I haven't seen anything out here this morning. Yeah, it's very rare if I ever do come across it. And, it's not, I don't like to make too much of a big thing with that because sometimes it feels a little too much, I think. But one of the last times I saw, over the past year, saw him at Hill Cumorah, the Temple Lot. One of the last ones was at the Nauvoo, Illinois Temple. And since that time last August, I think I saw one fly by in the winter, and I just saw one this past week. So it's been very rare for me. And again, I haven't walked this path for several months just due to the winter. A few other aspects, just culture-wise. My ward has so many Utah transplants, so many people from Utah. So even sports-wise, I'm so used to talking with friends in the past about how the Packers are doing or the Brewers or all these Wisconsin sports teams. And I don't think I've talked any Wisconsin sports with anyone within the church over the past year. It's usually like BYU sports. I kind of think that's a little funny. Communion. I really like the weekly sacrament meeting with communion. I'll still do some of these church visits. And I think one thing that I've kind of been surprised with is just how all the other churches, there's no alignment on how often to have communion. I attended a Seventh-day Adventist church for my last church visit. They would do communion once every quarter. I grew up in a church where they did communion bi-weekly. I've been to other churches where they may do it monthly. So it's been nice to just have that alignment across the board where it's like, this is what we're doing. This is the alignment. This is how we do it. One thing that's also been nice is I was always so used to church-tainment. A lot of the non-denominational churches with the rock band kind of music, and then you'd have this mega pastor kind of give the sermon, and you'd leave all pumped and riled up after church service. And it's been nice to just kind of be more reverent during church. I think there's this, probably one of the most interesting and kind of my previous kind of line of thinking for church services in the past. I attended, it was called Parkside Church. It was near Cleveland. And they had this pastor named Alistair Begg. He's a big Reformed preacher nowadays, originally from Scotland. And even though it was a mega church type of size for the church, the pastor was really good still knowing his flock. Like, he gave announcements and he knew church members, which is very rare, the way that the trajectory of the current evangelical church has been going. And they had the band, but it wasn't too over the top, and just excellent preaching. But one of the things I remember from that is, like, everyone came equipped with an actual Bible. Like, there was no like Bible apps or anything like that. And I think that's been one shift that I've been making a lot too, where I'm just so used to in the past, like Bible, kind of like I said earlier. And then it's like I think about the in Acts with the first church, it was much more about the Holy Spirit. It's like the disciples weren't handing out Bibles, so just wasn't there yet with the Word of God. So I think the last year also, I've just been kind of taking it more in spirit, Holy Spirit wise, as opposed to the Bible, which I think is kind of interesting and a big adjustment overall. I was talking with a friend not too long ago, and was curious about my Protestant background, especially with the conversion process, and got talking about Martin Luther, and I was raised very heavy on Luther. So one thing that I had been thinking about is when I heard about the first vision, it was very similar to me with what Martin Luther went through, because with Martin Luther, he had his own prayer. He was practicing law in Germany. He gets stuck in this thunderstorm, and like he thinks he's gonna die. So he starts praying. He prays out, I guess, to Saint Anne, and has this spiritual moment, basically saying, if you save me from this storm, if you let me live, I'll become a monk. And then, the rest is history with the Protestant Reformation several years later. So when I kind of heard the first vision in Joseph Smith, it was kind of like, this big giant prayer that kind of shifted church history. So I kind of thought that was interesting as I move forward, because I don't feel like, I think there's this misconception where you have to be a convert. It's Protestant or Latter-day Saint, it's black or white. For me, I don't really feel like I've given up anything. I think like President Hinckley mentioned in the past, where it's like, bring everything that you have, let us add to it. So I feel like I've added to my Protestant background. When I do these church visits, if I do travel for one of the Sundays, I often try to do my best to attend a local ward. So there's one Sunday, I was driving through Paducah, Kentucky. I sat down, no one recognized me, which I think was kind of fun, and it was nice to just kind of be incognito a little bit and just get talking with some church members who didn't recognize me from the channel. And the woman that gave the talk that Sunday, she was a convert, and I liked how she mentioned that she didn't really consider herself a convert, more so that she joined the church. And I liked how she said that, because I had a friend who said, David, you're not just a Protestant, you're not just a Latter-day Saint, you're a ProteSaint. And I feel like that was a good way of kind of explaining the past year, because I still have that Protestant brain. I'm adding on this LDS lens. And as I kind of go through this slow, steady growth, that has been adding, maybe so, to what I've been experiencing over the past year. A few other points. Over the last year, I've done a few more speaking. Even though I have the YouTube channel, I'm much more of a one-to-one deep conversation type of person. So for me to get out and do public speaking is a little bit, it's outside my comfort zone, we'll say that. I was asked by my stake president to give a 10-minute talk during our last stake conference, so got up in front of everyone, and I think that turned out pretty well. Also, I was asked by my local church leadership to give a talk during a sacrament meeting, and I really liked how that talk turned out. I think I'll kind of expand on what I said in a future video, because it was heavily based off gardens and the Garden of Light, or the Garden of Eden, and just some of the the gardens I've been a part of visiting different temples over the past year. So I'll expand on that later. I think probably one of my favorite things for church services so far has been fast and testimony meetings, because I'm so used to these mega church pastors or people who've been studying the Bible for their entire lives. And with fast and testimony meetings, I've heard of it called like an open mic night, which I thought was kind of funny. But you can have someone that goes up there who is, 10, 11 years old, and then the next person may go up and they may be 90 years old. But it's the life experiences, it's the testimonies, it's the stories, the personal relationships with Jesus Christ that really just rings so true and just stirs the heartstrings as I listen to some of these talks. So even for me, sometimes I have felt prompted by the Spirit to all right, I'm just going to go up, say a few words, and when you're done, it's like, wow, this, where did that come from? One interesting transition as well for me has been, single life. And, so I'm a part of a church with, a lot of families, and going to other churches in the past, it's actually been really nice, because typically I always feel invisible, especially at the bigger churches, when I go solo. My local ward family just brought me in with open arms. So one of the funny things sometimes with fast and testimony meetings is sometimes some talks can be heavy, Could be job loss, could be a lot of health concerns. I think I bring a different energy. So one time I got up and I just mentioned, it's like, last night I was on a date, and the way that I kind of positioned it was, on this date, I took her to this splatter booth. So it looked interesting. So it wasn't about painting. They gave you a bunch of painting supplies, and then you just blopped and you just sprayed as much paint on this little canvas as you could. And I just kind of got thinking about just some of the amazing artwork that I've seen. Because when you go to a ward, there's so many different art pieces and just these amazing artistic representations of Jesus Christ and what you see from that. And the way I kind of saw it is, sometimes when I come into church, if I'd have to bring a portrait, it is just this gooey, bloppy, just mess of a canvas. And that's kind of what I did on that date. The date didn't go anywhere, It was a great gal, but I'll kind of touch more on maybe the transition from that. But I thought that was kind of fun. So I could tell from members in my ward where they're like, yeah, we don't hear this very often. So I guess that brings up another point, has been just the transition in the realm of dating. So I don't know how much I want to touch on this, but to go from Protestant to Latter-day Saints dating, my past relationships or situationships, whatever you want to call them nowadays in today's modern dating world, I really wanted to take some time to, again, have that slow, steady growth. So I wanted to build that foundation. I want to strengthen those roots. And, with past relationships and situationships, my philosophy always was, you go there to give no matter the outcome. How can I enhance who I'm dating? How can I enhance her life and just form a deep connection? And for myself, it's often led to just negative experiences in the end. So I really had to take some time to, I just have felt burned out. So now I have this entirely new spiritual framework that I'm working within. Dating in evangelical Protestant churches I've been a part of in the past, there really was nothing that I ever experienced for singles. I remember like one local church, they started up a young adult group that they eventually merged into a young professionals. And that was kind of a wide age range, about 18 to about 40. And it was like the first time where a church that I was close to actually catered towards trying to do something for singles in a different kind of stage of life than a lot of other people. So when I started to investigate the church, I think it was like a year in, where someone told me there were single activities, there were singles wards. Not too long ago, I went to New York City. I was part of a New York State conference for singles. That kind of blows my mind because the perception, talking with other evangelical singles in the past, was always like the church leadership kind of viewed those type of things as like church isn't a dating club. So it was always kind of frowned upon from my own personal experience. So now to go into this Latter-day Saint world, this culture, where it feels kind of encouraged, is a little bit different. So that's where my Protestant brain kind of comes in, where it's like, oh, this is supposed to be frowned upon. So a lot of times I haven't proactively sought to attend these. I think I got my first invite a few weeks ago, and I was just traveling that weekend, couldn't do anything with it. But yeah, so like the past year, one thing that I didn't really consider and I later learned about is when you join the church, especially here in the Midwest, where the Latter-day Saint population is very, very small, you cut off your dating life dramatically. So I tried, like for me, it was like I didn't really want to date too much. Again, I want to take some time. And I've heard this one video where the guy's like, I'm not a red flag, I'm not a red flag, I'm not a green flag, I'm a white flag. And I think I saw some comment where it's like, I'm the Italian flag, I'm all three. And that's kind of how I felt when I thought I was ready to date again, because it's like I'm giving myself the green flag, but I can tell due to a number of trust issues I've developed, it's like suddenly, wait, I'm a red flag, I need to get out of this. But then other situations where you're just left wrecked, then you're a white flag. So for a little while, I tried the Mutual app, and you'd get hundreds of potential matches, but the majority were in other countries. So if I want to do something, if I could find someone within the United States, it typically was 1,200 miles away. There was very little in the Midwest, so I gave up on that for the brief time I was on there. And then I went straight back to Protestant dating. So that was an interesting change up, because now I am worried to disclose that I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I felt very much like Simon Peter to an extent, where I'd be dating these other evangelical Protestant, and I say dating, but it was just more like talking and maybe a date or two. But I never felt authentic because I feared the negative stigma that oftentimes social media will portray within the church, whether you find it on social media or on the TV shows nowadays. And it's been odd from that, because if I have hung out with other guys, members of the church, I've always been impressed how they have no problem saying, yeah, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. and they just, former missionary style kicks in their head, and they say it with pride. I haven't gotten to that point yet, and that was an interesting discovery. So I hit the point of just completely ending any kind of dating apps, closed everything, focused on my own singleness by choice. And that has been really, really nice. And the interesting thing now is, like, I've been single for so long, it's peaceful. I find myself very comfortable. And now I'm getting to this point where I'm like, I'm in this church where it's all about, there's so much about finding an eternal companion. And like, I've been asking Heavenly Father, where it's like, I don't know if I have any more ribs to give, you know? There was a talk from General Conference that really spoke to me. And I think his name was Elder Scott Whiting or Scott Whitting. You may need to tell me if I'm saying that right. And his talk was called Beware the Second Temptation. And I really like that because it talked up to the Garden of Eden, and it also spoke directly to new converts. So that really caught my ear. And the way that he explained it is, we all know the first temptation with Adam and Eve and partaking in the fruit, but we don't often think about is the second temptation, where the first thought that Adam and Eve have when Heavenly Father is walking about in the garden again is to hide themselves, to isolate themselves. And that's been something where I've been kind of like, yeah, I think I have to be careful to not get too comfortable, to not be pushing church members or those that have loved and support me away, because I'm noticing, just due to my trust issues from the past, like, it's a defense mechanism that I've developed. And so it's like I'm trying to figure that out right now, especially in the dating world. If I ever feel ready to get into that ever again. So that's been something that I've been working on. But other than that, if you have questions, feel free to leave some comments below. This is approaching about a 30-minute walk here, so I'm sure there's several other things I haven't been able to touch on. As for next steps on this new covenant path, I'm talking with a realtor this upcoming week, and my plan is to move out to Utah at some point. I feel like I've hit a dead end here in Wisconsin, and I feel like Adam in the Garden of Eden, where it's really peaceful, it's really comfortable, but I'm missing something. I'm missing a purpose, and I feel like I need to get out of that. So it's very daunting, it's very scary, because I've set up a comfortable life, but something's missing. So I want to dive into that. I mentioned earlier, temple endowment should be coming up. So that's been on my radar for quite some time. And then and I should also mention, by moving to Utah, I don't exactly have a place yet, like what's a good city to rent for a while, because I just want to test out Utah maybe for a year, see if I like it, and if not, I'll reassess. But if you have any ideas, recommendations for where to go, that might be a good idea. Other than that, just prayers, support. That goes such a long way. But yeah, we'll see what the next steps are. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, hit notifications when we have future videos drop. But man, it's been nice out here. Hope you enjoyed this prayer walk with me. But until next time, hope you have a good one.